You know the question?
Yeah, I know the question. Alright, so, again, I have to preface with, you are such a preemie. So when you were born, of course, that's a shock to the pregnant mom's body. And so my body wasn't quite ready to let down my milk. And so while you were in the NICU, which was, like I said, less than a day, you ended up having a little bit of formula to start with. And there was a concern because you were such a preemie that they tube fed you.
Oh yeah, okay.
Because they wanted to make sure you could suckle and swallow properly and adequately. So the first couple of feedings you had a tube, and then we tried you on the breast, and it just didn't go very well. So we had to do, I saw a lactation consultant. She came in and she helped us, and we tried and we tried and we tried. And it didn't work, so I got a breast pump, and so I would pump the milk, and then until you could suckle properly on even just a bottle nipple, you had tube feedings for maybe 2 or 3 days before you started catching on. And I continued to try to breastfeed you, and it still didn't work. And so I ended up, but you caught onto the nipple on the bottle. So I thought, what the heck? And so I just pumped and pumped and pumped, and then I'd store it and feed it to you from the bottle because that's the way that you best took it. And so I continued that for a year.
Okay.
And that's how long my doctor had recommended to do it. And by then my schedule was it was goofy. So a year was good. It was a little bit longer than a year, I think, when we finally ran out of the frozen breast milk in the freezer.
Why did you choose pumping it instead of just getting formula?
Because in my opinion, you want your child to have the best, and breast milk is the best.
I'm not disagreeing with you, I just need...
We know that that's what infants do well on his mother's milk. And so even though there's been years and years of use of formula, without supposedly identifying any concerns, who knows? But I just don't think that you get the enzymes and the antibodies and the immunities that you can get from your mom.
What were you eating during the time that they took out the breast milk, or that you took out the breast milk? Like, just everything, or were you eating specific things for any reason?
Yeah, I continued to eat the same kind of big salads most of the time and real healthy things for pretty much that whole year. So it was like 2.5 years because of pregnancy with John, and then a little gap that I wanted to make sure I stayed healthy, and then with you that I was eating really, really good.
But with John, you had a
peanut
Hershey's.
butter crave.
What did you have anything that wasn't healthy, or anything that was not salad?
I'd still crave the peanut butter cups, but not as much as when I was pregnant with John.
Okay. Okay. Did you suffer from postpartum depression at all?
I don't think so at all. I was just so excited, and I had been so depressed after losing John. I guess I shouldn't say so depressed. I was definitely, I was sad, but I realized that he was too perfect for this earth, so I really, but I was still bummed. But then when you came along, I was just so ecstatic that you decided to stick around. And you kept me busy, so I didn't have enough time, and I had too many things to do for you.
What's a piece of advice you would offer to a pregnant friend or relative?
Find a caregiver whether that be a midwife, obstetrician, or someone, a caregiver who you trust completely, and follow their guidelines. Do everything that you can, you know, to keep yourself healthy before you get pregnant. And I think that's probably the most important thing, is to make sure before you get pregnant that for at least 6 months, if not longer, you know, you get rid of the vices that you have, so that you can be the best place for that baby to develop.
So you quit smoking when you were pregnant with me, right?
I quit smoking before.
Okay, well, you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
you weren't smoking during that time.
No.
Were there any other vices that you felt you had to get rid of?
Yes.
What?
I like a lot of sugar in my
Oh.
tea. I like 3 teaspoons of sugar in my tea, and I would have warm milk with sugar in it also. But then I had the gestational diabetes.
I was gonna ask you about that, yeah.
So then, you know, I was trying to do better with that. The other thing too is that, as I say, I like tea.
Oh, that's caffeine.
I only drank decaffeinated tea, and I'm not a pop drinker, so I'm not a coffee drinker. So that was the big thing that I changed, was my tea consumption went to decaf. It was awful, just awful. But that actually helped decreasing my sugar intake.
Right. What was the most challenging part about being a new mother?
Probably the fact that I'm partially disabled with my back, and so I was really scared. I spent time in wheelchair, and you know, had gotten my strength back and was still actually walking with a cane when I was pregnant, and for a few years after my daughter was born. I finally gave up the cane January 1st, 97, so well, it was more than 2 years after my daughter was born. But the most difficult thing was, you know, lifting you up and all that kind of stuff, and making sure that you wouldn't go anywhere when you were getting your diaper changed and things like that.
Would you do anything at all differently if you had to do it all over again?
I would have tried to have been a stronger parent, as far as trying to get your dad to make our living quarters more appropriate for a child to grow up in.
Would you have done anything different in terms of the pregnancy? I think that's what it's asking.
Oh, it was far different. Well, that would have been different with my pregnancy. I don't think so. I think that I was really, you know, on top of it as much as I could be.
How are you guys doing?
We're still
We're doing
working.
well, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Let me take a bite.
Okay.